Hey everyone, Brandon and Brandon at the Kabuki Strength Studio today, and today we're going to be talking about overhead press prep drills. Now, the overhead press is one of those staple movements that anyone interested in upper body strength is likely going to incorporate within their training. However, it doesn't get a ton of love when it comes to technique for most people because it's almost always an accessory movement. It might be an accessory movement to the bench press, and it's not one that they're often really interested in maximizing. However, if you do overhead press and you do it correctly, it can have very significant benefits to your shoulder health and overall shoulder girdle stability. So we're going to show you one of our favorite prep drills, or at least my favorite prep drill for the overhead press, to teach people how to create proper tension throughout their scapulas and actually pattern proper scapular movement in the overhead press. So before we show you the drill, we're actually going to show you exactly what we're talking about. Brandon, go ahead and turn around for me for just a second. Put your hands in like a shoulder press type position. You don't have to go on the wall just yet. One of the biggest faults that people are going to make in an overhead press is excessive extension through the lumbar spine. This massive extension stability pattern, because they're usually missing end range shoulder mobility, or they have really poor scapular mechanics. Now, this isn't the end of the world, and you can get by and get really strong in your overhead press by using that as your primary stability pattern. However, if we can get a little bit more movement out of the scapula and actually get the scapula to do its job, your overhead press and your shoulder health is going to be that much better. So in an overhead press, what we want our scapulas to do is a little bit of elevation. They should go up our back this way a little bit. However, the primary thing that we want our scapulas to do is to actually upwardly rotate. So as Brandon presses, his scapulas need to upwardly rotate. If they don't do that, he's likely going to finish in a very poor unlocked bent elbow position. He's going to overly rely on his traps, and he's probably going to have some achy shoulders because of it. So one drill that we can do to help pattern this and help to create and teach tension throughout the scapula is actually by doing a wall slide. Now, it's not the traditional wall slide that would be done with like a foam roller. We're actually going to put some real effort into this one. So the setup for the drill is a stable wall. We're going to get Brandon maybe 3 to 6 inches off of the wall, maybe a little bit closer if he wants. It's not too particular there. I would say the closer you can get, the better. If you have a really locked up T-spine and you can't fully get overhead without compromising, then we might step a little bit further away from the wall so that when you do press, you're not in this big extended position or anything of that nature. So we're going to put Brandon's hand and forearm on the wall, and now his cue with this is to press the wall as hard as possible. I really want him pushing the wall over if he could, and I also want him to resist rotation with his trunk. So we're going to set him up with a little bit of brace, a little bit of tactile cueing here. He's going to slide up the wall and he's going to press into the wall as hard as possible, and he's going to take about a 5 count to slide all the way up the wall. This should be very slow and deliberate, and eventually we should get to end range. If he does this properly, we're going to get that scapula to come into this nice upwardly rotated position, and he's going to be in a very strong overhead position by the end. Now, go and keep going there, Brandon, if you can. Once he gets to about end range there, I still want him putting a ton of pressure in that top position. The work's not done at this point. He's going to keep pressure into the wall, and now he's going to slowly slide back the other way. Nice job. Now, what we would recommend is equal reps from left to right. We have done this drill where we do both hands at the same time, and it doesn't really seem to matter too much, but we do feel like you can get a little bit more pressure on one side, and it's really nice to get an additional core stimulus for oblique stabilization in this drill if you do it with one hand. Do this prior to your overhead press and reap the benefits of healthier shoulders. Brandon's out.